Good evening, vampires, werewolves, and all other nocturnal beings. Welcome to Tiddies by Night, a Vampire the Masquerade actual play run entirely by creatures of marginalized genders and presented by Tabletop Tiddies. My name is Kelly, my pronouns are they, them, and I will be your storyteller for tonight. Before we get into the episode, we want to acknowledge the colonial history of Canada and how Canada has and continues to take from Indigenous people. The effects of colonization are still felt to this day, and we acknowledge that this episode is being recorded on the stolen lands of the Anishinaabe, Chippewa, Haudenosaunee, Wendat, Secwepemc, Apache, and Cheyenne First Nations. If you would like to know more about the effects of colonization and support some Indigenous charities and organizations, you can go to the resources page on our website at tabletoptitties.com/resources. With me, I am joined by the IOU and their saviors.
Why, hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Theilade. My pronouns are she, her, and I am playing Evelyn Stormloft, the Nosferatu, whose pronouns are also she, her.
I'm Casper, and I am, well, my pronouns are they, them. I am playing Belgium Jerry, a giant himbo. His pronouns are he, him, and he's a gangrel.
Dare. My pronouns she, they, fae, and I'm playing Leon Cavallo, pronouns he, him, and I'm going to be your resident non-problem causing Toreador, a thing that's totally true, and I've never done anything wrong.
Hi, everybody. So happy to be back. I'm Shar. My pronouns are she, they. I play Octavia Miller, the Tremere, whose pronouns are she, her. Currently in torpor. Very excited for that to change. Hopefully by the end of today. Who knows?
All right, we get to just rock it. Okay.
Yep.
Inspired to create a space you can be proud of at Inspire to Create Shop, a small Canadian business supporting and sourcing their materials from other small Canadian businesses. They have everything to make your space as cool and nerdy as possible. They have cheeky and funny decals to personalize your walls and cars, and dishwasher-safe mugs sporting your favorite class for when you come out of a long rest. Roll for initiative with Inspire to Create's Dice Towers. Get one for yourself using our code, Tiddies by Night, all caps, for a discount at Inspire, the number 2, Create Shop on Etsy.
We are using Sirenscape tonight to help make our stream more atmospheric. It helps us have, sound effects, music, all sorts of that jazz. You can use it too. It's free at Sirenscape.com. And while I have your attention, I also want to let you know that if you have Amazon Prime, you can get a free subscription, and we hope that you would want to use it on us. It helps support the show, and it's free. If you want to pay for your own subscription to our channel because you do not have Amazon Prime, that is also great. You get really sick emotes that I'm going to put in the chat now. Content warning.
Yes, I just realized that I have forest background, but you know what? Whatever.
I did see that. I was like, "Ooh, are we going outside today?"
No, it's just woodsy. I mean, it might come up, so let's leave it.
It's for Marguerite. She's still in the woods.
Yeah, still hanging out in the woods with the werewolves. Possible triggers for tonight: restraint, disregard for human life, burial, and general vampire stuff, including cannibalism and blood and all of those things. So if any of those bother you, feel free to leave for a bit and come back, or catch the VOD on YouTube later. Is everybody ready?
Yes. I was born ready.
Were you? Are you sure? Previously on Tiddies by Night. Following the release and growing popularity of Bram Stoker's Dracula novel, Greater London was thrown into turmoil. Mortals were becoming fearful of anything they assumed to be a vampire, and ruin befell the office of the IOU. A month or more after its release, we were introduced to the dock-dwelling brawler Belgium Jerry. In the middle of a night of warehouse bouts, Jerry fought a man named Cast Iron Jim, who proved to be a fierce competitor. However, Jerry bested him and broke his neck. Apparently, this was a test to see if Jerry was a vampire. He was attacked by dock workers wielding garlic and crosses until a mysterious monochromatic woman drained all the mortals of their life. Meanwhile, Leon Cavallo spent the early evening with his benefactor Otho. After a brief discussion of the novel, Otho requested a small bit of blood from Leon to feel the power. An awkward moment ensued. They were luckily interrupted by Jerry and the strange woman, who introduced herself as Valentina Giovanni. She informed the two kindred that she had been tasked with retrieving the now torpored members of the IOU and would be requesting their aid. In exchange, they would each receive a boon from Valentina, so long as they did not mention they helped to the prince. She whisked them through the Shadowlands to the facade of the IOU, where the trio quickly dispatched 2 guards and made their way inside. Within the dungeon of the now condemned IOU, they found a vignette of invading mortals who had died from the Haven's ward, as well as the demon dog that hungered within. One by one, they found the IOU members in their room, save for Imogen, who had apparently left for a date with Travis, and they calmed Prophet enough to leave. Now, we find ourselves walking through the streets of London. Belgian Jerry holding the 2 torpored IOU members over each shoulder, and a still weary, a little bit hungry, and upset Prophet following hot at the heels of Leon and Valentina. You each notice as walking through the rainy streets, it doesn't seem to be populated right now. The streets have been fairly empty ever since the novel gained popularity, given that people are afraid of the night-dwelling creatures. But it's more so tonight. The city of London has not really been this empty in a while. And Valentina sort of rushes through the streets and says, "Hurry, we mustn't be out too long. This is a ill omen indeed."
Oi, Jenny, where are we headed?
I was informed of an address that I am to bring I suppose, 2 members of the IOU, and I'm to be met there by the Seneschal.
Will there be food?
Oh, you are not to stay there. You are to help me drop them off, and you are to immediately leave.
You know where I can get some food?
I don't know. I assumed that you would divulge yourself of rats and vermin, much like anyone else at the docks.
You know, Jenny, you're really rude.
I am important. There's a difference.
So is Leo. And he ain't mean.
Well, it is appreciated. The name is, in fact, Leon.
Sorry.
No, worry not about it, my friend. We could potentially go find some sort of, let's say, upper class eatery, if you catch my language.
Sure, as long as they've got, like, imports.
That could probably be arranged.
Wicked.
You can eat on your own time. Just, we have a deal. Follow along. And she sort of like stops and like looks around a little bit, not suspiciously of people following, but almost as if she's lost. And you see her like double back a bit, and sort of like, all of these places look so similar. And she like counts out an address to herself. Leon, as she mentions this address, you know where it is.
Do I know where it is? In a good way or bad way?
What does that mean?
The distinction.
Give me
Good memories or bad memories?
give me just a quick intelligence and streetwise.
Yeah, I have exactly as much streetwise as you'd expect someone like Leon to have.
Just to give me an idea of how much
One success.
All right. It is it's a den where mortals may come to be fed upon voluntarily. And that's about it. You've maybe frequented there for snacks and stuff.
Is it affectionately called the feeding pit?
Now it is. It's got a much upper class name that you don't recall, but a lot of people in society would call it the feeding pit then.
I have just the place that I'm excited for this because, hopefully it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Do you know of this place?
Oh, absolutely. I've maybe known to pass there once or twice by in my day.
Well, then it must be a respectable place indeed, and kind of
Oh,
side-eyes
I've never
Jerry.
been there.
Then it is even more acceptable place. Lead the way then, Leon.
Absolutely, as you wish. And I will take point.
You confidently lead the crew towards the feeding pit. And again, you notice that there are no mortals around. There's nobody walking the streets. And you make your way to a set of stairs that lead down into a large building, and make your way down the stairs and through the doors leading into this velvet-colored, draped, sort of almost like labyrinth of just cloth and comfort that immediately you smell like potpourri and rose scents, but underneath there's that like stale blood smell that is ever present to those who can smell it. Currently, again, nobody seems to be in here. And Valentina looks around and she says, I believe this is the place. This does seem an appropriate venue to bring someone out of torpor. Are you sure this is the right place, Leon?
I'm feeling vaguely confident about that. If I had to do a rough percentage, let's say about 54% confident.
That's worrisome.
That's above half.
Regardless, Jerry, perhaps place them wherever.
I try and put them down as I'm trying to put them down as gently as possible with one hand. So it's like,
You just hear a couple more cracks.
Yeah.
Just...
As
whatever shoulder she was on, I'm just like trying to get that off of my
it's like oily kind of.
That's
like...
never coming out, hon. That's never coming out.
And Prophet immediately will like settle himself next to Octavia.
My darling boy!
And Valentina will look down and say, excellent. Consider your boons prepared. Whatever you may need of equivalent value, come to me. I'm sure the Harpy will see to the exchange, but I must ask you with haste, please depart before the Seneschal shows up.
The who?
Leon.
The Seneschal. Sort of the right hand, as it were, to the prince, if that makes sense.
I don't know any Sunny boys, so.
Excellent.
Jerry, you are just wonderful.
See, that's why I like you, Leon.
I enjoy your company as well, my friend.
Each of you give me a wits and awareness.
Because I have so much of that.
If she's trying to steal from me again, I'm gonna cut her.
Yeah, just pocketing everything that Octavia. I mean, at this point, Prophet's there, so
Yeah.
you got your security
Fight
system
it.
turned on.
Fight her.
Prophet gives out a little whip whip.
Two.
Two.
Sounds about right.
Hey, 2 out of 3 dice.
That's
Pretty
not
good.
too shabby. That's not too shabby.
I got 4 out of 7 dice.
Nice. Jerry doesn't notice anything. Leon, as you're talking, you notice that some of the hanging drapery off in the distance, almost like looking through transparent trees, sort of like waves a moment, and you see what appears to be a figure wearing a white dress, sort of stained with blood. And for a moment, you see what appear to be like leathery wings draped off of her back, like a cape, looking at you, sort of like drifting her hands through the drapes. And all of you hear sort of a soft whisper come through the room and says, "She's here."
My stomach growls at that very moment.
It does appear that we have a bit of company. Does it? And I just sort of asked the room. Does the imagery of anyone with slightly tattered or slightly bloody dress with wings feel apropos, or are we in a bit of trouble?
I don't know. I said that I've never been here before. I need you to leave.
Can I go up to the bloody dress lady and be like, hello? Just say hello.
Rip.
A true member of the investigators
Yeah.
of the occult
Go
and unusual.
As you walk off in that direction, you notice that the drape that was like moving almost obscures this figure as it like moves into the view of another drape and disappears. And as you look around, you see her kind of appear somewhere else and move through the drapes.
Oi! You,
Yes.
miss. You know where I could find some imported?
Well, normally you would be able to find that in this establishment, but
Right.
unfortunately we are all reserved for the night.
Well, that's unfortunate, eh?
Valentina, you were told to do this alone.
Oop. Oop.
And Valentina, like, somehow gets more pale. She's one of the most pale vampires you've ever seen, but her eyes go wide and she says, "She's not here yet. You have time to leave."
Well, I can't leave my friends.
Our entire job was, in fact, to leave our friends.
Oh. All right, I guess I can.
Well, Valentina, I will say this was a lovely affair. I like take her hand a little bit. And of course, if you ever need anything else, do not hesitate to call upon the two of us. We tend to get work done as unconventional as our means may be.
Of course. And she like hurries along and like kisses your hand, and you can tell that she is like freaked out. She's tried to keep her demeanor as much as possible throughout the entire night, but it's sort of like the facade is sort of crumbling away.
Oi, Jenny,
What?
I don't like you,
I don't care.
but I will help. For one of them boom things.
The boon was that you leave.
All right, then. Fine. God. That's rude.
This is lovely.
Damn.
Don't like her at all.
Do the two of you make to leave?
I did.
Yeah.
As you face the door, you can see off to the right, again, sort of like holding the drapes, almost like playing with them through her fingers, is that figure you had seen walking. And standing in front of the door, you see another figure, pale as a ghost, long dark hair in loose but abundant ringlet curls, usually tamed a bit with product and hairpins and a dashing little hat. She's tall, roughly 5'10", with heeled boots, littered with freckles, hazel eyes, and sort of dressed similar to Leon in the early dandy style, broad shoulders. And lazily in her left hand is a figure wearing leather outfit, similar to the two guards that you had seen outside of the IOU, except he has a sack tied around his head, and is very calm. And she just looks at you.
I immediately take off my hat and be like, "Oh, hello.
Hello.
Nice evening, isn't it?"
And who might you be?
I'm Jerry. Belgian Jerry.
She grabs your hand and shakes it very gently. And you?
It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I am Leon Cavallo, just a sort of artist by night. And you are, and mind my manners if I have maybe accurately judged your credentials.
As they're still holding your hand, they say, Evelyn Lorelei Secor II, the seneschal of the city. And this character is brought to us by the Indiegogo backer, Learn. Thank you so much.
Ooh.
Thank you. I don't think they're here today. Too bad. They were here last week.
Well, they'll see it later.
You'll see the VOD and you'll know we're talking about you.
And Evelyn is very, her gestures and demeanor is very, like, respectful, but her sort of posture and presence is very noble and gaudy. And she sort of looks past the two of you at Valentina, who at this point is all but cowering, and says, Valentina, you were supposed to do this alone.
Oh, no, you misunderstand. Me and my mate here, we were here for...
Jerry.
Oh, we were here for a nip, but it's cleared out. They're closed for now tonight. We're getting out of here.
She kind of, like, looks at you and turns her head a little bit.
And my stomach rumbles again, because I'm very hungry.
What need do you have to lie for this one?
Well, we were here, and now we're trying to leave.
Well, you might as well stay now.
Can I get something to eat?
I believe Diana may have something available in the back. And sort of turns...
Nothing local.
Then you might have to wait. We have other business to tend to. If you would ever so kindly take a seat.
I do what she says.
As do I.
Valentina is, like, immediately, like, sitting down on the closest fainting couch that she can find. And Evelyn sort of, like, softly pushes this figure forward, looking down at Valentina and says, You were very sloppy. You left one. And sort of, like, carefully sits him down in a chair as well. It's no matter, though. One of them will need a snack when they wake up. The other I have brought supplies for. Who shall we wake up first? I will let the ones that did the actual work decide.
Oh, shit. She's being so dragged through the mud right now.
We are in trouble later.
The one with the dog.
The one with the dog. Ah, yes, Evelyn.
Yeah.
Or Octavia.
Octavia.
My apologies.
I'm like, Evelyn has a dog now? What?
What?
All right. And you can see that on the man's back, there's sort of like a messenger bag, and she reaches behind and opens it up and pulls out these almost like surgeon's vials that are corked and full of red liquid. This isn't what she would usually drink, but I imagine it will suffice. Jerry, was it?
Oh, yeah, it was.
If you would ever so kindly, and if the hound will permit, could you perhaps hold Miss Octavia?
Yeah. I check with Prophet first, and I'm like, put my hand out. All right, boy, can I
Prophet
get it?
seems oddly amicable to you and sort of like sniffs your hand a little bit. And it is
Give him
like dead
scritchy.
cold. And sort of like, you can tell that he's like on duty right now and sort of like reluctantly takes the scritches, but allows you to approach Octavia nonetheless.
Yeah, and then I hoist her up as gently as possible, like a bear holding a doll.
And Evelyn holds this vial and looks over at Valentina and says, well, if she is to wake in a frenzy, perhaps you might be the one to administer this. And hands, like, almost shoves a little bit the vial into Valentina's hand, who takes it and sort of, like, timidly corks it. And as soon as she does, Jerry, this smell of, like, rich, delicious, unfortunately non-alcoholic blood wafts through your nose.
Oh, that smells lovely now, doesn't it?
Now, you will have your time. And Valentina timidly pours the vial into Octavia's mouth. Octavia, you, in a start, come to, almost like a ringing in your ears.
Get off me! The sheriff will have your head for this! And I try and swipe as fast as I can.
Give me a strength and brawl.
This is one die, everybody.
Yeah.
That's a nat 1 on the hunger dice.
Fuck.
You are frenzying, just wilding out. Jerry, you don't really have to hold that hard. Octavia is not exactly that strong.
Yeah,
And
it's
Valentina sort of like leaps back as she does this. And
I'll kill you! I'll kill you all!
Oh, like a
as do I.
This is not what I remember from it, but enjoyable.
I believe this is a clear indicator that the attack was legitimate. I have some more, and sort of pulls out more blood. And Valentina's going to attempt to feed you more blood, Octavia. Are you going to do anything?
Can I help Jenny, like, by holding her down?
Sure. I'll say that Octavia, the moment that the next vial of blood reaches your lips, you like instinctively try to grab the vial to like, hold it to your lips and just immediately start guzzling it back.
Like a young lamb to its mother's teat.
Over enough vials and the quality of the blood does eventually sate you enough that you have 4 hunger.
Ooh, that's nice.
And are able to keep yourself from frenzying at the moment.
Okay. Who are you? Who are you people? I recognize one voice.
Yes, that would be me, Octavia.
Valentina.
Yes, that is me.
Why are you here? What did you do?
I rescued you.
Oi.
Unlikely.
Well,
I was assisted in rescuing you.
Better.
Leon is here. You remember Leon?
It is a pleasure to see you again.
Yes.
How are you doing? I understand that was probably quite an experience.
Did you get everyone else? I don't think Imogen was home, but Evelyn was there.
Was
No
she
one is here as
dirty?
well.
Well, she's always dirty.
I mean, yeah, we got her too.
Okay,
All right.
that's good to hear. Prophet, my boy.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
As you say that, Prophet, not as enthusiastically as you remember. Now that you're awake, you sort of get this feeling of like, sort of just like sadness and hunger, but a little like a tinge of appreciation that you're awake now, and you feel just like his shadowy, muscular shoulder push into your leg.
Yeah, I'll just like feel the pressure of his body up against mine, and I'll like meet that pressure. My wards, some of them, I could feel the hum of the energy connecting, but there were still, I don't know how many people. They knew things about us, specifically about me. I don't understand how this has been happening. I didn't think it would be so sudden.
You hear another voice that you don't recognize. They knew things about you. What do you mean?
Well, they weakened me. They weakened me with cloves of garlic. I could taste it in the air.
Of course. All of this will be explained in due time, but unfortunately now we must wake the other one. Jerry, would you like to make yourself... You're very useful. Would you like to make yourself useful yet again?
You're very pretty, so fine.
I have more of those flasks, if you wish.
All right, then. Yep. Yeah,
And she
I'll do it for Nip.
pulls out two, and hands one to you, and hands one to the hooded figure. I'm going to need you to take our little friend here into one of Diana's back rooms. Put but a bit of, or he will put but a bit of this blood into Evelyn's mouth, and just wait a moment before opening the door again.
Right. Okay.
Don't
I'm gonna drink the flask thingy that she gave me and like wipe my mustache and like, all right.
It's pretty good. It's you can tell that it's like very rich blood, full of fats and all the delectable stuff you can get as a rich folk.
It's not bad.
Well, only the best for our friends. As I
Like
said,
being your friend. And then I pick up Evelyn, I guess, and I hold her at a distance because I want to keep my vest as nice as I can.
and the hooded figure sort of like stands up and stands next to you, just like holding this vial in two hands. And Evelyn sort of calls out and says, "Diana." And you see one of the cloths sort of like shift a bit, and that dressed figure appears again. May you please lead Jerry to one of the back rooms, please? And the figure just sort of like drifts like daintily through these cloths, waiting for you to follow.
I follow her like this.
Also, thanks for the raid, Alex the DM.
Thank you so much.
Woohoo!
Just in time for Evelyn to wake up. And Diana leads you a bit through this labyrinth of cloth, always seeming to be like slightly out of your distance, always obscured by these cloths. And she eventually gets to a door and sort of opens it. And inside is a well-decorated room, and she sort of like backs up and gestures you through.
I just walk through the door holding her, and I'm like, when we put her anywhere.
I don't think it will matter.
Or else, so I put her down, and
the hooded figure sort of walks in past you into the room as well.
yeah, I wipe my hands on like his clothes because they're gross.
It's fair. And you leave and close the door. You, for a moment, it's quiet. And then you just hear banging and slashing and screaming and blood curdling, like spraying up against the wall. And Evelyn, before you realize it, you are standing in a very dark, padded, nice velvet room, feeling pretty sated. You are not hungry at all.
God damn it.
And there
Cheers.
are pieces of someone around you.
I'm gonna open the door. I'm gonna have my rapier in one hand, and it's gonna be like one of those like after sex hair, just like everywhere, just like woof, just like. It's
When
just
you
gonna be like, what?
Oh, I was gonna say when you open the door, Jerry falls over. It's like, oh, I wasn't listening. I wasn't
And I'll be
listening.
like, and then I'm gonna look around and be like, I'm going to assume that was a terrible human being that deserved what he got. And I'm going to walk away, not let anybody say anything of contrary. And then I'm going to see Valentina. I'm like, oh,
wait, first give me a wits and awareness.
oh, fair enough. I
if
might
you're-
not know where I
If
am
you're gonna
at.
navigate the labyrinth of
Yeah.
cloth alone.
Fair. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of cloth. Wits and awareness, you say?
Yeah.
Wow, we back.
Whoop whoop. Season 2.
Ooh, baby. So I got a crit, so that's gonna be 4.
Nice. Yeah, so you start pushing through this cloth, and occasionally you see this like again, leather wing-caped figure in a white dress covered in blood, just sort of like fading in and out as you push through, and eventually you get to sort of this like meeting room where standing is Valentina, Leon, Octavia, Prophet, and another figure that you don't recognize.
Oh, well. I must have met my final death and gone to hell, because here you are, Valentina.
I don't know what you mean. I was tasked to save the IOU, and as you seem to be fit as a fiddle.
I look at Leon.
It is wonderful to see you again.
I take it you did most of the legwork, my dear.
I'll be quite honest. My friend and associate here, as I was gesturing,
Jerry's still
Jerry
being led
did.
through the cloth at this point. You see
Yeah.
just this incredibly massive man just stumbling through the cloth.
Well, I take one look at both of them and then glance back to Valentina and I go, I see. Using people again, huh? And then I walk away from her. I don't care what she wants to say.
Excellent. The other figure, the ghostly tall figure with the red hair, looks at you, Evelyn, and puts out a hand and says, Evelyn Lorelei Secord II.
Ah, yes. I'm assuming I would know who that is.
For sure.
Perhaps.
Can you
Yes.
spell
Yeah.
the name for me?
I will
The
dump
first
it
name.
into the chat.
Thank
Do-
you.
Do not make me write.
I'm like, is it Evelyn?
No, it's close.
No.
Okay.
Do not
Ava.
make me.
Evelyn. Okay.
Ah.
Don't
I
ma-
see.
Don't make me write Seneschal in the chat.
Evelyn, I love that.
And I take her hand back and I go, pardon my self, I suppose. It is an absolute pleasure.
And to answer your question, yes, it was a terrible, terrible person.
Wonderful, thank you.
She wasn't there for that.
Sorry?
Nothing. I'm over here.
Excellent. Well, I suppose...
Why are we here?
Thank you, Octavia. All of you may take a seat. I have much to impart upon you. And so she, like, looks at Valentina, who appears to be, like, at that stage where it's like, can I leave yet? And immediately, like, stops and just sort of, like, sits down again. As you may be aware, a novel presently, was introduced into the zeitgeist of the kind. One that reveals a bit too much.
It's just a rehash of Carmilla. I read it 400 years ago.
Couldn't agree more.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, by all means. I believe that this was part of the reason that your little office was raided. And seeing as the prince does ever so have a fondness for you, he requested your rescue. And thanks to your two friends and Valentina, here you sit. I do wonder where your friend is.
How many nights has it been?
Oh, we shouldn't talk about that yet until you have your bearings.
Oh, it's been quite a while then, hasn't it?
Perhaps 1 or 2 months.
Oh.
And no one's heard of it from Imogen?
No. I was hoping that perhaps you may be able to shed some light on her whereabouts.
Can I pull out the letter and like, I got a thing from Emmy.
Evelyn looks sort of like shocked for a moment and reaches out 2 fingers to grab it. And unfolds it with one hand and begins to read. This Travis is her consort, then?
Yes. I do believe I had some of my people watching over them, so I would hope if they did their job correctly, they should be unharmed. Perhaps he's keeping her safe.
I, with all due respect, highly doubt that. You, Evelyn, have spies, do you not?
Yes.
Are you aware of their activities at the moment?
Well, I would say not. I just woke up from torpor.
What was the last thing they were doing?
Storyteller, what was the last thing they were doing?
So most of your ghouls offered to keep an eye on Imogen, since most of you were homebodies for a bit there.
Yeah. Were any of them looking after or trying to track down my dear friend the Harpy that gave me a bad time in the finale last season?
Yeah, I would say
Okay.
probably Tanita would
I was going to
offer
say
do that.
Bumblebee Lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Maybe I'll leave that part out. Just in case the prince doesn't want to know about it. Yeah, I relay what they were doing and leave out some nice little details there. That's what I do.
Perhaps. And you can trust them.
Oh, absolutely. Most of them are bound to me in some way or another.
Perhaps your friend is safe then. Leon.
And if they aren't, we will have. Well, it won't be a discussion. Let's just say that.
Here's hoping. Leon,
Yes.
you're... How do I put this? Flush with property at the moment, are you not?
I happen to have more than enough for one kindred.
Excellent. I believe that for the moment your friends may need a place to reside. Well, we ensure that their office is unwatched at the moment. We may need some time to recover that haven for them.
Yes, I have more than enough establishments, and I have one I'm not going to request simply for commitment reasons. Don't worry about it. But otherwise, I should have at least one that'll suit everyone here.
I dare say I request more information about this secret hidden property.
I do too.
Is it a library?
I think Leon just takes a very pregnant pause. Have you ever met someone who'd like to maybe join the kindred, and you simply just didn't find yourself quite in the mood to have given that much of yourself in that way? A lot of things were being asked of me, and you know.
Is this Oreo?
Yes.
Oh. He seems like a nice chap.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that was nice.
And they are aware of your proclivities?
Oh, absolutely. They give up blood quite easy.
Yeah.
Kind of
Can
like,
vouch.
for a moment, bites her lip. All right, then. Noted. Dear Octavia,
Yes.
how are you feeling?
Not very well. But also, I'm so sorry. And I turn to the direction of the voices of Leon and Jerry. Was there a horse? Did you see a horse? At the IOU?
No.
No?
Met Prophet, eh?
Yes.
Yes, we met Prophet quite well.
He's a
It's
good
not-
boy.
Not quite healed yet.
No,
I'm
My shoulder took a nice little bite.
in need of animal blood as soon as possible. If we had Fiend, that would have been at least something to satiate me and get us to travel around faster, but I can feel myself fading in and out of consciousness in the state I'm in right now.
Valentina, would you be ever so kind as to acquire something to eat for our guest here? And Valentina just like recoils. Surely there's someone else more capable of hunting than for vermin than myself.
Oh no, it's the perfect job for you, darling.
Mm.
I activate
Ginny?
Daunt as I say that.
As you do, you notice Evelyn also activates Daunt. Sort of like puffs their chest out a bit more next to you.
Mhm.
And Valentina sort of like recoils, and then this smoke forms around her, and she disappears.
Aw. I was gonna ask if she could bring me something too.
I say that's my trick.
Excellent. In fact, perhaps we should have Diana bring in some meals as well. And she sort of like raises her hand, and Valentina again like emerges near these cloths, and Evelyn says, "Would you ever so kindly put the call out for? Were you looking for an export? Someone?
Yes, please.
Leon, what do you prefer?"
Something nice, simple, and of a slightly expensive taste.
Excellent. Evelyn?
You can find mine drunk. I don't care.
Evelyn, what is your flavor?
Oh, I'm fine. I had my fill in the back room.
Excellent. And Valentina, of course, is retrieving something for you. This is well. I have a bit of dire information to drop on all of you. I was simply making small talk until such a time. Evelyn, well, your relationship with Albrecht, the Harpy, is tentative at best, correct?
That... Oh, it's one way to put it, yes.
What if I were to tell you that perhaps within the week you would be given the permission to hunt him?
Well, I would be extremely intrigued and interested in that prospect.
Also, thanks for the raid, Lost
thanks.
Caravan RPG.
I was like, I don't want to interrupt.
I was
the
waiting for a moment,
scene.
and then
Indeed, RP.
my ADHD brain lost it for a sec.
Yeah.
We have our suspicions that Albrecht may have been somewhat involved in your office's attack.
Be surprised.
I, of course, cannot make this public knowledge, as I have not confirmed whether or not it is true.
Fair enough.
Perhaps if I had access to a group of investigators.
Well, would you look at that?
I have
Well,
I have a week. If we do not prove that Albrecht was behind this attack, then we will have to make it publicly known to the kindred that the kine have become unsavory, and there might be a cull.
I'm gonna lean over to Leon very discreetly and ask, "What's a cull?"
Nothing pretty.
Right. Sounds like a fight.
A little more one-sided, but yes, a fight.
All right then.
well, we certainly don't want that now, do we?
No. Especially if there's one of our own to be blamed. You two, Leon and Jerry, you're not of the IOU, I am to understand.
No, I make my living bag down at the docks.
Mostly a friend. Do you consider me a friend? I don't want to make assumptions, but at least a passing
A
acquaintance.
friend and colleague. You worked with us for a time.
Friend and colleague.
Perhaps temporary employees. I mean, I don't presume to run your business, Evelyn and Octavia, but these are dire times, and having a bit of muscle and charisma on your side never hurts.
Are we getting paid in boons?
You're doing a favor for the Seneschal. What do you think? Yes.
I whisper, yeah, to Jerry. That
All
means
right.
yes.
You would receive a greater boon.
Ooh.
Your
Hmm.
coterie would have one favor to ask of me. If you prove that Albrecht did indeed perform this act.
Where is his usual whereabouts? Any tips on where we should begin our search?
I doubt he would be anywhere usual at this point.
Well, I believe the art gallery is his usual
Yes.
place of residence, but that has since lost its luster. You are the investigators, after all. I believe this is what you do.
We'll figure it out.
And, of course, finding your other acquaintance.
Yes, I think that's first on the agenda. Who knows? Maybe she has information we don't.
Perhaps. And it's just at that moment, you hear the door to the lounge open up, and two figures walk in. One is sort of like a scruffier looking fella, clearly a bit of the drink on him. And you can see that he's already like fairly pale, and you can tell that like he maybe frequents this place. And you see another figure walk in, very high class, but still sort of like that demeanor of like knowing that this is a little bit forbidden, and sort of is like into it a bit. Even though their friends wouldn't like it.
I like, that's hot.
Yeah. Ooh.
And Valentina reluctantly bringing in what appears to be a like goat from like a farm or something. Distances that she had traveled. Very confusing.
She did work. Good for her. Good.
Listen,
for
in this,
everything.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say. I'm like, wow, look at you.
and as they enter, Evelyn looks at all of you and says, "Shall we eat then?"
I go up to the drunk pale guy, put like a meaty hand on his shoulder. It's like, you and me, mate. Hey, we're gonna go.
And you're like passively led through the cloths by Diana. It seems that like she is just ever present and guiding all of you to like places that fit your needs and whatnot. And as you each go down to dine, we're going to take a break.
Slurp.
Nom nom
Nom, 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 nom.
nom nom.
Nom, 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 nom.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Good morrow, fine patron. Are you looking for music for your character, campaign, or Twitch stream? Does music move you like prune juice after a colonic? Well, here at OBP Musical, we write music from any genre, from fully orchestrated pieces like this to video game auditory herpes like this. We have singers from Les Miserables and Disney for vocals like this.
The heroes of the North, with them we'll sally forth. The warrior knight, the maiden of Ed.
Have a bard that's written lyrics? We can write music for them. So, if you want music that rocks, come to us at OBP Musical and get your rocks off. That sounded weird. Music and songs from any genre, from opera to country, pop to thrash metal. We are jacks of all trades. OBP Musical, music for any occasion. Birthdays, weddings, having a bris. We've got you covered when others don't. Go to obpmusical.com for more info.
It's time to geek around and find all the amazing things at Geeky Tendencies. Get equipped for one of their one-shot adventures with a dice bag complete with pockets to fit all your game gear and spell books, perfect for keeping track of all your mystical abilities. Why stop there? You can get your dice trays, vaults, bags, spell books, minis, and pocket adventures all in one place. And now you can even get 10% off store-wide with the promo code TIDDIES10. So adventure on over to geekytendencies.com. I've been working on my Steve cosplay, and I found the perfect piece to finish it off at the costume shop. They have wigs, costumes, contacts, and they even have a cosplay section on their website for people just like me. Head on over to thecostumeshop.com/?REF tabletop titties to get started. That's TheCostumeShop.com, spelled ye old way. Make sure to use the code tabletop titties with double D's to get yourself $10 off at checkout. Maybe I should make a Imogen White cosplay next.
We're back.
Hello.
Hi.
So, everyone is, what did you, I can't remember now what you called it, Leon. The feeding pit?
Yes.
All right. You're all enjoying a relatively decent evening in the feeding pit. This seneschal almost creates that atmosphere of you can't be the first one to leave. So there's this almost obligatory feeling in the air. But they have walked away with Valentina, and you can sort of see the drapes slowly moving, obscuring them once in a while, and they are talking hurriedly, Valentina not looking too good. But you are left with a bubble moment where the four of you are alone, sort of sitting in this lounge area.
Thank you, by the way, for
Yes.
taking us out of our home, which has been desecrated, I assume.
Yeah, it wasn't looking too nice. Sorry.
Yes, I don't think I've actually introduced myself. Evelyn, and I kind of hold out my hand to Jerry and then realize, perhaps you've seen enough of that.
I look at the part
I
on my
look at
vest
the
that's
stain on your
permanently
vest
stained.
and I'm like, yes, I recognize that coloration.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
And you've already met Prophet, of course, and
Yeah.
Octavia.
Oh, nice to meet you, ma'am. He sticks out his hands for you to shake.
I do not do anything because I am blind.
It's all right. You'll get used to it. I don't. Are you new to London within the last little while? I don't recall hearing about you. No offense. I'm curious.
Yeah, it's no big. I tend to stay by the docks. Yeah. I came in on a ship a couple months back. And then kind of just stayed.
Was it from Belgium? I'm just curious.
No, I haven't been back there in a minute.
Okay, so you actually have lived in Belgium. I thought it was just a bit of a misnomer.
I was going to ask about the name.
See, I'm originally from Belgium. Ended up going to war, coming back. Met this Italian broad at Oktoberfest, I think. Yeah. Then I woke up and was just really hungry. Realized that hitting people, well, woke up kindred, I guess. Long story short. Then went to the Americas, hung out for a couple of years, fought in a few more wars. Got tired of that and came back here. Oh,
Well, you've
came here.
certainly been around, haven't you?
Did you say wars plural?
Yeah. There's a lot of wars happening over there.
Yes, I've heard about that.
Yeah.
I try not to hear about it, but I do unfortunately hear about it.
Every day of our lives.
Man, history's weird, eh?
I need a drink.
The two humans that did come in are sort of like just lounging with you, and you can tell that they learned very quickly to pretend they're not listening, and be very good at that. And that allows them to enjoy being feeded on. Rip the goat.
Yeah. We fade to black on that. No one needs to hear about that.
Yeah.
But while we're discussing and like sharing our news and stories, Octavia will slice her wrist on her fang so that she can feed Prophet some of her own blood. And I will do 1 hunger's worth.
You can tell that as like Prophet's not as hungry as you thought Prophet would be after a month or two.
This is strange.
But does feed and sort of like warms up to you a bit.
You might be careful with that, Octavia. The Prophet there, he's a biter. He is.
Oh, I see our new friend helped the situation.
Yes, no wonder. I was expecting it to be much worse. With 2 months without a feeding, I can't imagine what you went through, so I do appreciate you helping out my dear friend.
Oh, poor William.
Yeah, anything for a pupper.
Yeah, Jerry seems to have a way with animals, and I respect it. I mostly helped keep a Prophet calm, you could say.
Yeah.
We don't need to discuss how.
Prophet like sort of like cowers a little bit at Leon, but like almost like a dog respecting like a stronger dog a little bit.
I am the beta.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't want to say alpha because that's bullshit. But
Yeah.
just a intimidating dog.
Yeah. Leon, how do you feel
Yes.
about joining up with the IOU once more?
Yes, how have you been since we last saw you?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I've had a bit of a fun living arrangement. A friend of mine named Otho, who,
Is this the Oreo we hear so much about?
Yeah.
yes, a friend of mine who was offered, a bit of a solid exchange of my presence for their house. The deal's pretty good. They just simply like to be fed on once in a while.
Perhaps getting a bit too clingy.
They're wonderful. Wonderful. They're wonderful.
You hear suddenly off deeper into the room, outrageous! And that's it. And then they just keep talking in whisper.
Truly, I'll be honest, I'm a little shocked they enjoy my company that much. Not many are to be around me for extended periods of time. But I am glad to see you all again, and hopefully we can either light less or more carnivals ablaze.
Yes, perhaps we don't talk about that in front of Valentina.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, Valentina made that
Or we
quite
could.
clear.
I really don't care what she thinks, to be honest with you.
Exactly what is your relationship to Valentina? Because there seemed to be, I'd say, a slight
she's
tinge of hostility, but
A
that would be a lie.
backstabbing bitch is what she is, but you know.
The more you talk, the more I seem to like you, even if you ruin my vest.
Yes, you see, the vest ruining is out of my control. What I do have is a wonderful personality, despite the face.
You also eviscerate him, man. Pretty handily.
Well, that I don't quite recall. I woke up and he was like that. Deniability.
What I mean to say is, you're one for a fight, aren't you?
Oh, I'm not necessarily as the strongest, but I kind of pop my rapier just to show the blade a bit and pop back in. I do have a bit of finesse with a blade.
Yeah, you're wily. I like you.
I try.
A bit too overly modest, I would say. She is quite the death threat.
Oh, really?
I do my best. I certainly came out of a couple fights unscathed. Not the one we just encountered the last couple months, but that one I think was not overly fair.
Well, if you're down for a fair bout, I'm always ready.
I might have to work out a bit first.
What constitutes a fair fight for you, Jerry?
Well, anyone who tries their best to evenly match me.
It did seem, speaking of fair fights, that the people who attacked us were quite fast. I remember hearing something upstairs, and it was moments before we were being torn asunder. And I turn to Prophet and I activate Feral Whispers. And I say, "Did you get a good look, Prophet? Anyone you know?"
Let me... Ooh, that is free. As you focus on Prophet, you hear this, like shallow breathing in, just this, like... and the voice of Prophet emanates in your ears as you hear, "Yes, Mom."
You did? Tell me everything.
There was no one there. Then there was. They made noises.
What kind of noises?
Hitting and banging upstairs. I went and came back to find you. People who were inside hadn't been there before. I didn't see anyone. Didn't smell anyone. And then more came. And I killed them. The ones that stood and defended you.
Thank you. I do appreciate it. They were here, they were there, but they weren't there?
They were inside before I knew they were inside. Then they appeared or were inside already. I don't know.
I relay this information to the group, and they didn't have a smell, which is very, very strange. Something that puts us quite a disadvantage.
I wonder, is there something perhaps at your chantry you could find out about possibly some sort of blood magic that could enhance kind or something like that? I'm not sure.
Yes, there's always more to learn.
There's
Could quite be
something
a
suspicious
possibility.
about all of this.
And speed.
Would I have read something about this, Kelly? Like, with my extensive reading when I'm not fighting people. Whatever. Yeah, words.
Give me an intelligence and occult.
Oh, darn it.
You're like, ah, damn, not my wheelhouse.
Cool. I got 2 successes out of 2 dice.
Perfect. sounds familiar. You recall something similar out in a relatively recent war, actually. Suddenly, like, battalions would maybe suddenly appear in the middle of battle. And in the chaos, most kind wouldn't notice that just a sudden appearance occurred. They would assume they came out of somewhere hiding or something. But you knew that on occasion, no matter what plan you made, you had to account for another possible battalion appearing out of nowhere.
All right. Yeah, Octavia, it sounds like you've been suffering from what they call that, a guerrilla warfare.
Tell me more.
So all right, so you think you're fighting a bloke, and everything's going right, and then out of nowhere, his mates come out the sides, just pop up like ain't coming, like no warning whatsoever. It's just pop up and get you. You gotta always keep your eye out, yeah.
It's like the optimal way to fight, I'll be honest.
Yes,
Are
I
you saying...
do appreciate the tact.
Are you saying that they were already inside? My ward should have protected against this.
Oh, they could have been. I don't know nothing about wards, but
Either that or they were so adept at being unseen that even Prophet couldn't sense them until they were close enough.
well, I've heard tell of people just peering out of nowhere.
Well, I do that. So, yes.
True.
Yeah. Well, it's like battalions, not just you.
Yes, but I doubt it was a battalion of Nosferatu.
They would have smelled.
We have powers for that, all right?
It's at this point that Evelyn sort of pushes past the cloths and comes back into your zone and says, perhaps they emerged from the Chateau realms, and sort of looks back at Valentina, who's like, I jest. I have interrogated Valentina thoroughly, and as annoying and inept as she may be, she is not a kinslayer. Kinslayer. But she may take her leave. I have no more use for her. Say goodbye to Valentina.
Bye, Jenny.
Valentina, I assume our boons are no longer relevant?
Evelyn says, oh, she made a deal with you. She will uphold her end of the bargain. You may ask of her anything you wish at any time you wish. In the interim, I believe we have a harpy present to record such a deal. Until such a time as Elbrecht is seen not guilty. How would you like to be in charge of such activities, Evelyn?
Well, I suppose I will do my best. I believe it won't be much of a bother.
Excellent. Perhaps if you do a better job than Elbrecht, if he is proven non-guilty, we will have a further discussion later.
Understood.
All right, so long, Valentina. And she sort of like, tail between her legs, just disappears into smoke.
Fare thee well, Valentina. Fare thee well.
Good evening.
Now, how many of you have actually read the infamous novel in question?
I skimmed it.
It was probably the best method
Would
to
I
achieve.
have? Would I have had time? When I'm assuming it had been out for a couple months at that point.
I mean, that's entirely up to you. I'm not gonna roll to see if you read a book.
I think maybe I was told about it because I have people who are not kindred, and they're like, "Oh, Mom, there's a book around, people are talking about it," and I was like, I should probably know about this. So yeah, I feel like I would have read it.
It's also popular enough that you would have been able to acquire a Braille copy if you wanted, Octavia.
Oh, I was gonna say for that reason I probably wouldn't have, because they wouldn't have made one yet. I think I would have I wouldn't have read it, but I would have just heard about it from everyone talking about it. I mean, our friends warned us to shut the shop, so yeah. But I don't think I would have read it.
Well, that does explain a lot then. Apologies, Octavia. Amongst the many lies and misinformation in the novel, one such, well, a few, but one such deterrent for our kind did fall true for you, it seems. Apparently, Count Dracula is not a fan of garlic, nor the Christian cross, nor salt water, or being invited into someone's home. There are several misinformations in the book, and unfortunately you adapted one of the flaws that made this true.
Well, it's really more of an allergy than a flaw, but sure.
For the most part, they are complete falsities. Not to mention, it's a simple novel of a man traveling to London and having his fill and being murdered. But we have looked into Count Dracula, and he is, of course, still alive. We have not been able to contact him to inform us as to whether or not he commissioned the book himself.
We did, I assume you know about the carnival that was here. The night carnival that was blatantly discussing this book.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
I was the strong man in it.
You were there.
I might have been drunk.
Fair enough.
You remember fire?
I always remember fire.
That's how this carnival ended.
Oh yeah, I was there.
Yes, the information in that carnival was disturbingly accurate.
Let's circle back for a second. Did I happen to cost you a job? I may have. We can't quite prove it, but I may have incited the riot that led to those fires. But jury's still out on that in full effect.
We can talk about it. Valentina is gone. She will not be offended.
Oh, I just don't like that my actions may have cost Jerry a job here.
No, it's alright. It got me into bare knuckle boxing.
Yeah, that's what got you into it.
Fair enough. I do have one question regarding everything with the old Bram Stoker's Dracula. Would it not be easier to simply just pretend as if we are simply fans of the work and lean into the vampire as if it were some sort of fad or piece of ephemera, and thus people will fade from it?
You see, the problem with that, mate, is that my mates down at the docks, when Jenny found me, they had me going up against this guy, Cast Iron Jim. Accidentally killed him. But then it was
That's not
apparently
important,
proved. It apparently proved that I was one of the kindred or vampires or whatever. Tried using garlic on me and the little cross thingies. Nothing happened, but yeah. No, see, the problem with faking it is that uneducated folks down at the docks are like reading this and thinking, they're absolutely right. I am a kindred, but like,
yes,
what if I wasn't?
The less fortunate and uneducated will absolutely take this misinformation as fact.
Yeah.
You do have a point, though, Leon.
That's what I've been doing, and honestly, it's worked out pretty well so far.
Oh, higher class, it will work, no problem, I would imagine.
Of course.
We just have to be careful around the ones I hang about with at times.
Same here.
The Camarilla would, of course, heavily request that you do not, or if you are to follow the novel, to follow it to the falsities. It is my understanding that your absent friend also suffers one of the other allergies that the Count is listed as having within the novel. She does not cast a reflection, I believe.
That is correct.
Fortunate.
So if you are, Leon, able to deceive the kind into believing you are simply a fan of the work, then that may be a way of finding out if perhaps this was work of the kind and not of Albrecht.
I can always see what the world of the arts and high society can find me. It's where I shine best.
Excellent.
Wait, you're a Nazi bloke?
I think there is a long stare. What did you think I did?
I don't know. I don't judge books by their cover.
That's you. Yes, a bit of a writer, poet, some degree of music. Was a bit of a muse for somebody, and then lo and behold, you end up a creature of the undead.
All right.
Leon, I should get you in touch with one of my new ghouls. You'd probably find him quite amusing. He might have to change his name, though.
What is it?
Turns out his name is also Leon. But he's very rich, and we can change his name if we want.
Well, we can always go with Leon and...
I met him, Leo.
We can shorten it to Leo, because your name is Leon. It's fine.
Yeah.
You'll be Leon and he'll be other Leon.
It's fine.
Exactly. Leon and Leon the Lesser. Something to that degree.
Octavia nods like, yes, this is the way.
But I would have very much appreciated if you showed him around high society and were able to help him gather information for me. As he is new to being what he is.
Do you know a bloke named Quinn? I know a Nazi bloke. His name's Quinn. Met him down in the ring. And apparently he gets 10% of everything I win, but whatever. He seems to know a lot about that.
I'm sorry. What did you call him?
Every time you say unartsy folk, the N and the artsy kind of blend together.
This whole time I've been hearing Nazi.
It sounds like you're saying a Nazi folk.
I'm like, what is going on?
You said that the first time, and I was like, okay, I got it.
I was
Wait a
like,
minute.
I knew, and I was like, I know what it
I
sounds
know
like.
that's not what you're saying, but I was like,
It's the
what
accent.
are you?
I just won't say that then.
That's fair.
He's autistic.
There you go.
I mean, still sounds like something else with the accent.
Yep, I know. I heard it when I said it.
Oh no!
Give me intelligence and streetwise.
Good God.
Evelyn.
Intelligence is. Sorry, you're talking to me? Okay, hold on. I gotta
Intelligence
make
and
character.
streetwise.
And I
Intelligence,
also
Yeah,
rolled
go
to
ahead.
see.
intelligence, and where the fuck is my streetwise? Holy shit. Okay.
Sweet Christmas.
Jiminy Christmas.
I feel like
Okay, we clarified for the
10
chat.
years.
Nobody's confused anymore.
Yes.
It's fine.
We don't have subtitles on because I still can't figure it out with our setup.
That
so-
oh yeah. That's yep. You know what? Seems like a chill. I'm gonna re-roll some of those. 'Cause I wanna do
Willpower.
I got
willpower.
nothing.
Oh.
good.
Did you get what'd you get on your hunger dice, Leon?
Oof, I forgot to roll the hunger dice, my bad. Now that one's a success.
All right.
So 1.
5.
All right. Evelyn, you 100%, one of your many NOS gang members, probably is part of the bare knuckle boxing group. And
I'm sure.
is well aware
Yeah.
of Quinn.
A NOS part of the bear? How did they not get murdered immediately?
Well, you're like, you've got the ghouls, so it's like
Okay, wait,
it's just
wait.
a stinky
Yeah.
bloke that fights,
Gotcha.
and probably again like doesn't make a show of it and keeps to the shadows just to view everything that's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the opener fights just to get the crowd
Yes.
warmed up.
Kind of string bean stinky boy who gets like knocked out immediately, but is still there to hang out and have a good time.
Yeah.
I know him.
Yeah.
But
He tries his best.
yeah, you would know. In addition to managing a few of the more promising brawlers, he also has a little bit of dealings with a little bit of art theft and
Ooh, okay, yeah.
shipments and stuff.
But
That's everything then. You may want to ask me anything while I'm here. I don't suppose we'll have much contact until you've gathered enough information.
I assume the residence of the Lees has remained untouched since we've been away.
Yes, the Lees have managed to keep their level of decorum and center of arts within the community that they are, without question, not kindred in the eyes of the kind.
Good. I was just patching up old things, and I wanted to make sure they were all right.
What did they already say why they anticipate that it might be Albrecht?
They do not. No.
Okay. What makes you assume that Albrecht is your main suspect?
We have lost contact with him, which has been quite of annoyance, seeing as he was tracking several of the boons in the city, and his disappearance lined up uncomfortably well with your raid. We also suspected other dealings of his, and his little performance, and like looks at you, Evelyn,
I smile coyly.
at the Elysium was not looked well upon by the prince.
Does he have significant abilities within the realm of either celerity or obfuscation?
No, he's more of a gather as many kind as you can and create an army.
so he's got mates then.
Yes, you could say that.
And there's the guerrilla warfare.
Yeah.
Can
Well, there
I?
You're collecting clues already. Well worth the boon.
Can I see if I can think on past research that I've done of any other sort of avenues that this could have been taken advantage of?
Sure. Give me a intelligence and occult.
That's my best stuff.
I will say that you're not thinking about ghost things.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. That is so bad. I'm spending a willpower.
Oh no!
Just dig deep.
Yeah.
Get that beast to dig
Come
deep.
on. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes.
So, you're pretty familiar with most of the clans. And, well, it seems unlikely that somebody who is so invested in the, like, mental manipulation of mass populace it seems unlikely that they would also have the ability to suddenly make them appear in locations. You are right. It either seems like a celerity thing, like they ran so fast into your dungeon that you didn't notice them, but kind don't generally have those abilities. Did my camera freeze? I feel like I'm
Yes.
still
Oh,
moving.
yes, it did.
Still moving
Yeah.
on. Oh, that was my other computer. Never mind. Don't worry about that. Wait.
So sad.
Wait 1 sec. Wait.
We won't be
Give
able
it back.
to see
Give it back. We have many tech issues happened all at once.
Sorry,
So,
folks.
I'm very scared that something's gonna fall apart. So yes, as I said, you would feel that celerity's a possibility if they weren't all mortals. The Shadow Realms does seem likely, but Evelyn seems confident that their discussion with Valentina proved otherwise.
Right. And did I get the feeling that my wards worked, but there were just so many people? Like, what was up with that?
Yeah. So your wards were a combination of yours and the Lee's working. Like the Lee's gifted you.
That
some
was
of
a
their
boon
wards.
I used, yeah.
And you don't think that they failed because the Lees did it. You think
Okay.
that the willpower or just the speed of the mortals prevented the wards from working properly. And as you're sort of like thinking, like as people are sort of talking around you, as you sort of delve deep into your thoughts, just going through all of these like possibilities and like removing different equations, and you remember that one of your allies has recently acquired the ability to manipulate what people see. Evelyn has started to delve a little bit into just illusions a bit. And further down the tracks of those disciplines, there are the abilities to cover the presence of someone and change the physical world to resemble whatever it is you wish to resemble. And you sort of like linger on that thought, and it becomes, you start like piecing together some of the variables, and as far as you can gather, that's a pretty good theory.
Well, my three main points of thought are celerity, obfuscate, or perhaps something that Malkavians usually use, or, illusion magic. But I need to know more. We have to get to the IOU and my chantry to research this in a deeper way.
Well, if that is all, then I will make my leave. It was a pleasure to meet all of you, and I look forward to your progress.
I grab their arm before they step away. What clan was Albrecht from?
He is a Ventru,
Of course.
much like myself.
Of course.
She sort of, as you like chuckle and say, of course, she
it makes absolute sense.
But you
and
still see that like dart in her eyes as she stares you down a little bit and says, yes, of course.
he's doing you a disservice.
The clan of kings does not like such people. Anyways,
Of course.
my off. And sort of like polite, like the tiniest little curtsy, and leaves the room, and a moment of silence occurs, and you hear Diana off in the distance says, I think you're allowed to leave now.
Thank you.
Shall we?
I will clean up after you.
I take my beverage to go.
Stick a little straw in it, a little juice box on the go. As you make your leave, Diana, like, you feel one of the cloth brush up against your back, Leon, and you feel through the cloth sort of like a gentle fingers sort of rubbing down your back, and says, "You're welcome anytime."
Thank you. I'll be sure to make a return appearance.
And you leave. The entrance is open to you. Evelyn left it for you, and Evelyn, Leon, and Jerry walk through. Octavia, the moment you step through the threshold, you are stricken with a vision, and you recognize that sort of like falling into the abyss feeling. And as you fall, you hear growling and howls, and what sounds like running through brush and trees, and the howls of what you recognize as werewolves around you. And
Under my breath, I whisper, Marguerite.
And the smell of cigars.
What?
And that's where we're gonna go for tonight.
Oh my goodness.
Gonna end on werewolves, yo.
Yes! I had a feeling. Once you said
Oh my
running through the
goodness.
trees, I was like, it's about Marguerite. I know it.
Listen, the Patreon voted, and they decided on Marguerite's fate. So
Oh, boy.
if you voted in the
teasing
Patreon,
us.
thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today. Your viewership means so much to us, and we hope you enjoyed spending the time that you did with us in our vampire craziness and us coming back from torpor, because I'm sure glad to be back. I hope you are too. If you did enjoy yourselves and you want to show your support, the best way to do so is by heading over to patreon.com/tabletop-titties. When you become a patron, you get access to a multitude of behind-the-scenes snippets, polls that affect our games, like you just heard about. You could have chosen what Marguerite's fate was, and bonus episodes, and so much more. We also have a merch store. Just FYI, if you saw the show tonight and you thought to yourself, you know what, I need some Tiddies paraphernalia or some Tiddies by Night stuff, specifically some character stuff or anything like that, you can definitely grab all of that goodness over at tabletoptitties.threadless.com. Speaking of supporting these titties, I have a Indiegogo shout out somewhere. Please hold. Oh my god. I thought I added it and I didn't. Hold on, please. Oh my god. Wait. I gotta scroll.
Well, while this is happening, we can also shout out Lynn, who designed an NPC from our Indiegogo as well. So thank you so much for creating Evelyn.
The moment that description came across my desk, I was like, I know the perfect place for this character. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Do you know who our Indiegogo shout out for this evening is?
Ooh.
Aiden Tillett, baby!
Yay! Awesome.
Thank you so much, Aiden. You for supporting us and backing this campaign and season. We couldn't do it without you. We appreciate you so much. Last but not least, make sure to follow us on social media at Tabletop Titties, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok maybe soon. Watch out. And if you tweet using hashtag TTTitties, you can get an NPC named after you.
Heck
You know,
yeah.
all those good people that like to give us stuff, then you can also get named and stuff. That'll be good. There's a big season ahead of us.
Maybe you
there's
can
a
be the
lot of
right hand of
stuff.
the prince.
Yeah.
Maybe you can defeat Evelyn and become the right hand of the prince.
Whoa.
Who knows? You can find all this info on our website at www.tabletoptitties.com. And remember, when we say titties, it is with double D's.
Heck
These
yeah.
are not double D's. I don't know why I grabbed those.
And on that note,
When don't forget also that this Tuesday we have our D&D show, and Emily Matchette will be joining us as a guest
yes, poor Imogen is not here, but she will be here next week
on Tuesday.
on Tuesday.
Yes.
We're gonna go ahead and raid Dork Tales because they're actually playing after us, and they always raid us, so we love them. So
Share the love.
stick around for that. All right, good job, y'all. See you
Yes.
next Tuesday.
Bye-bye.
Bye.